Hi, True Crime Alert family and friends. So good to see you guys back. I'm so glad you come back. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. I was just going over the Moab murders, and if you look at this timeline, Brian, I think he was in the vicinity at the time. There's no way to disprove that yet. And there's some other creepy stuff about Brian that kind of makes him a creepy guy. And we all know that. Come on, let's look at some of his writings, his books, and he's a murderer. Yeah, that's pretty much making him creepy on my end. So I want you guys to watch this clip with me and then tell me if you think he's creepy guy.
Many have wondered if Gabby's death is in any way connected to the deaths of a newlywed couple whose bodies were found in Utah. Police have said no, but not everybody is convinced. Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner were found dead at a popular tourist destination near Arches National Park. That's near Moab, Utah, on August 18th. The last time that this couple was seen alive was August 13th. That happens to match a similar time frame that Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were in Moab. Another coincidence, Kylan worked at the co-op where Gabby and Brian reportedly had gotten into an argument. A couple of things crossing paths here. Well, then there's this. A strange phone call from Kylan and Crystal saying that they had moved their campsite because of a creepy man nearby. Again, police have come out and they have said on numerous occasions that these cases are not connected. But there's a private investigator that's taking a second look. Jason Jensen is joining us live tonight. We appreciate your time. I think a lot of people had these same questions. There's just too many coincidences here. So let's start with this creepy man. This couple moves their campsite because they saw this man. What have you learned and been able to uncover about who this was and how they're connected?
Sure, I appreciate you having me on. In light of all the circumstances that you just described, yeah, I mean, it leads a curious, reasonable mind to wonder if these two cases are connected. The problem is, though, from an investigative standpoint, is we don't know where Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito were between the 13th and the 14th or 15th, which is actually the time frame we believe that Kylan and Crystal were murdered, which would be, you indicated the last time they were seen was the 13th, which actually was nearly midnight of the 13th, so almost the 14th. And at that point, they were leaving a friend's house to go back to their camp. And at that point, they hadn't been heard and were a no-call, no-show for work at 5:30 in the morning on the 15th, which was Sunday. So all of Saturday's in play that this could have happened to them. And what I would expect to happen in light of the police encounter that Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie encountered on the 12th, that they were separated to be apart till the 13th, the next morning. So most people would probably pack up, Gabby would drive over to the Bowen Motel, pick up Brian, and they would leave town. So unless there's some kind of evidence to show that they were actually still in town on the 14th, I would expect they took off and were somewhere else in Utah.
The timeline of all this, Jason, starts to get really complicated and trying to match up all of these dates. I want to focus on this creepy man that they called about. Has anybody else witnessed that behavior, saw that man? What have you been able to uncover?
That's really who we're looking for. I mean, really, at the time of all of this, he was still their neighbor at this campsite, and they got a bad vibe from this guy. So we wonder who this guy is, and I don't think that there's a coincidence that somebody else is the murderer. I think it's really this creepy guy because they got bad vibes. And if you know anything about Kylan and Crystal, they were very down-to-earth people. They were not debutantes that somebody, would be beneath them. So it would take a lot for this guy to be creepy in their eyes.
Did they describe him? I mean, other than being creepy, a description of what he looked like?
I wish they had. I wish they would have took a picture of the car, described the guy, did a license, got a license plate number. In fact, my advice as a lesson learned from all this, if you think somebody's creepy and your life's in danger, document it some way. You're texting that, hey, we might have to move. This guy came back with more clothes and food, but why would you not, convey something more specific that could help if you thought your life was at risk?
Take a picture, right? We've all got our cell phones. So I want to go back to this. Police say the deaths of Crystal and Kylan, unfortunate, tragic, but that they are not connected to Gabby Petito's death or the search for Brian Laundrie. What is it particularly that you think there may be some connection that keeps having you come back to this one point?
Well, anyone that's been following the case knows that Kylan's father, Sean Paul, was at Moab for a whole month after the murder, and he opened in the park what he called the clue booth, and people from all around the community was bringing information to him about, this guy's been acting weird, this guy's strange, you might want to have police look at this guy, and so forth. So he amassed a large list of potential persons of interest, and one of them we can't help but add to the list, which is Brian Laundrie, because until we can prove he was out of the area, in light of all of these circumstances that you outlined, of course, he has to be considered until he's adequately ruled out.
So you have 25 years experience as a private investigator. You took on this case pro bono because you were interested in it, yet a lot of questions that the public has about Crystal and Kylan's death. And you have put together a list of people you think could be suspects. And what you're telling me is Brian Laundrie is currently on your list based on what you have uncovered so far.
Right, including the fact that, given the fact that when they describe this guy as a creepy guy, they're not saying his name. So it's somebody that they're completely unfamiliar with. Obviously, somebody like a Brian Laundrie that's from out of town, they don't know who he is, so they don't know who to say is bothering them. So if it was somebody that they worked with or somebody that, they were neighbors with, they'd say, hey, Bob is bothering us, we're going to move or something. So clearly this is somebody that was giving them bad vibes that they were unfamiliar with that creeped them out. So clearly somebody that was staring at them or acting inappropriately.
Many have wondered if Gabby.
Well, what do you guys think? He's not been ruled out yet. I thought he had been ruled out, but he has not been ruled out yet. And Kai's father, I think you said Kai's father, was the one that was asking for any help in what happened to his daughter, finding out who that murderer was, that killer was. He got a lot of tips. I wonder how many of those tips were about Brian Laundrie, because I'll tell you what, a creepy guy, yeah. Yeah, he's a creepy guy. I'm not going by his drawings or what he reads, but there's a little something in those that should be considered, maybe. And you don't get any creepier than a guy that murders his fiance. That's pretty damn creepy, if you ask me. I'm sure you guys can see other creepy things about him. I don't know if he really is part of this case. I don't know if he's murdered these girls too, but would I put it past him? No. Somebody that murders one person, do you think that they'll never ever murder anyone else? No. If they've got it in them to murder one person, they can murder other people too, because they've got rage going. And this guy has had rage going for a while. I seen an interview with his ex-girlfriend, which just happens to be named Gabrielle, another Gabby, and that's the weirdest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. But she said he was controlling, and he was pretty much a manipulative butthole to her too. But she got out. She got away from him and split up with him and got out. But Gabby didn't. Gabby believed in him. I don't know how, because to me, he's the ultimate creepy guy. And like I said, if he's murdered his fiance, can he murder again? I'm thinking, yeah. Of course he can. He's got rage. I mean, he throttled her, he choked her to death. So, thanks for listening to me. And let me know what you think. And please comment below and let me know if you think Brian's creepy guy. Because I'm telling you, I think Brian's creepy guy. And I could be totally off, but he has so much about him that just creeps me out. Ugh, he's got to be doing the same to you. So thanks for coming and joining me tonight. And we'll see you on the next one. Please let me know. Let me know what you think. Bye for now.